Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm David Steele, and here's me truck. Except I don't have my lights on right now, that's bad. Let's go ahead and fix that. Right, well, today we're in somewhere called St. Joseph, Missouri, and this was an interesting place to get to, let's just say. Well, so as you can probably tell, I'm not from the States, I just happen to live here. And I gotta say, the downtown areas, this sort of compact grid type idea, arrangement that they have, let's get my truck lowered, let's get her kneeling, it's an interesting design and it's logical to a point, but in the real world, every single one of those grids becomes its own little, I don't know, like it's a competitive game. So there's a certain stress I have through driving around these parts, especially when I haven't got a clue where I'm going and everyone's on the wrong side of the road. So I had to negotiate one of those to get to my cargo today, but we made it. Hey, we even got connected. Let's go ahead and get it connected up even. Well, that was pretty straightforward, wasn't it? Let's jump back in the cabin. Right, I thought I had my main beam on. That's rather unfortunate. So, a quick look at the map today. I think we're going through 3 states. Yeah, so St. Joseph, and then to my east is, I think it's Kansas. Yeah, Kansas for a brief stint, and then up to Nebraska. There might be a different route here. As you can see, I've not explored a massive amount of Missouri right now. I think I'm going to go ahead and head east. It will mean one of these like 4-leaf clover type intersections just here. And they're always fun, although it's not a particularly heavy cargo today. Or maybe I'll just take the route it has in mind. I don't suppose it makes that much of a difference. It's this little stint of road here near Omaha. We should go and find that and explore it. But not today. Right, let's, just for the sake of it, let's go ahead and tell it we want to take 29, like so. There we go. Did that add much to my trip? Really? Okay.
You've got the contract.
That's for me. Jump into here, get back on it. Well, I hope everyone's doing very well. I'm going to see if I can negotiate heading out, I guess, this direction as opposed to turning around. Looks like I can. Oh, that's right, because opposite is somewhere we can stop. So we'll drive down the middle of the road, because, hey, middle of the road's where I like to be. Oh, brakes are sensitive. Red car will give way to me. There's a stop sign anyway. So Missouri, I have spent a bit of time exploring Missouri. I spent a lot more time, I think, exploring different torpedoes in the Cold War simulation, submarine simulation game called Cold Waters, but that's another story. Negotiate around here. I decided I would do some fleet driving today. So our truck's liveried up with Swift. Let us go all over the pavement, the sidewalk. Oops. Well, there was no one there, it's fine. It's America, so people don't tend to walk anywhere. They do in inner cities, but not at 6:45 on a Saturday morning. In fact, who really wants to be out working at this time of day? Well, darn a crust. Someone's got to pay for those tariffs, right? And it sure as heck isn't the country that's sending goods to us or we're buying goods from. Okay, so let's take another look at our fleet specific. Oh, like that. Let's take a look at our fleet specification. Very nearly dented up. Kenworth T480. So we have super singles on the back. It's a change. I don't normally run with super singles. It just felt like a change today. It's supposed to get you better fuel consumption, lower fuel consumption, I should say. I don't say I've not noticed a difference, but I haven't exactly run a massive comparison between the two. I'm speeding. I work for Swift, but I don't think speeding is really tolerated. So we'll get back down to 20 miles an hour, and now it's gone up to 40. Okay. Thanks, St. Joseph. Appreciate that. Let's tap up a little on my cruise control. I'm going to use cruise control a lot today. I figure that's what you do if you're in a fleet. Maybe. Just try and not veer all over the road like I'm drunk. Okay, that's better. Guess we're going to head east. Yes, because we would have been heading on exit 5, but we're going an alternative way. Or alternate way, if I wish to try and sound like I have an American accent, which I clearly don't. Get off the power. Take this exit, I think.
Exit right.
Go. And another pretty scary looking speed limit. A little bit of engine brake there. This engine, when you use the engine brake, will downshift automatically for you, and that is a little savage. Well, I say a little savage. No, it's vicious. And I'm running a 6x2 today, so only the middle axle's powered, which also means only the middle axle is braked, and so it's very, very easy to break traction with the engine brake on the higher setting. I mean, in the wet, I'm not going to say the engine brake's unusable, because it is usable if you like skidding your middle axle. And I do have traction control and ABS turned on. Traction control only works with the brakes, doesn't work with your engine brake. What that means is I'm going to say it's easy to crash, but it heightens the potential for a small incident. Yeah, it's quite easy to crash, especially if you're not going in a perfectly straight line when you're applying the engine brake. So like now, this isn't quite a perfectly straight line, and it's viciously shifting down. I'm going to actually, I'll use it a little bit. Yeah, let's disable it. Now, there are some solutions to this. I mean, the obvious solution is don't use it. The next, nearly so obvious but not quite solution is turn the engine brake down, and this is a 3-stage, I believe. It's a Cummins ISX15 under the hood, so it's a 3-stage engine brake, if memory serves me correctly. For whatever reason, it's not clicking when I change the settings. It still wasn't. Let's get back up to cruise. We'll get up to 65. So I turn my engine brake on. Does it click? No. Okay. Yeah, and it doesn't do anything when I... That's interesting. I usually at soundstage will click that engine brake, but not today. Right. So we've established it's a Cummins ISX15 Fan Dabby Dozy. This is a 2013 generation engine, and it's the Fleet 400. So it's 400 rated horsepower and 1450 foot-pounds of torque. So I would say it's the baby of the range, or close to the baby of the range. It's not a vocational engine, so some of the lower powered, higher capacity engines are used in vocational duties. No, it's for the fleet market. It's one of the more interesting engines, I think, of the ISX15 range, because although it doesn't have much torque, it produces peak torque from a lower engine speed. And if you've got the Steel Productions engine pack, you've got 2010 and 2013 vintages of the ISX15, and why do you have those two? I mean, the headline figures look the same. Well, yes, they do, but they perform just a little differently. And the biggest difference is the older engine, its peak torque is slightly higher in the rev range. Now, it's more obvious if you drive the more powerful versions. So let's say you jump into a truck with the 550 horsepower ISX15. Well, it's 1150 RPM is where it peaks in the later version of the engine, and the older version is 1200 RPM. And what that means is if you want to cruise along in California at the speed limit, depending on the gearbox, you're way more likely to be using not top gear in the 2010 version, which has a knock-on impact on a few things. If you're running at a higher engine speed, your engine's producing more power, it's more capable of climbing hills, it's more capable of accelerating, but it's burning a little more fuel. Now note, I don't have the secret formula to how ATS calculates fuel consumption, but let me see if I can show you something. So right now, the miles per gallon, that little bar in the dashboard, it's towards the, well, it's gone all the way up to the top right now.
Keep right.
Oh, okay, I can't show you because we're turning off, but if you downshift, your fuel consumption for the same road speed goes up quite a bit. I don't know how accurate or realistic that is. I don't drive a big rig, but it does make a difference. Turn left. See that? A savage drop you down a cog, put you to 1800 RPM. It's can be pretty brutal in the wet. In the dry, it's not so bad. It sounds a bit savage. What's the other solution? You don't use it, or turn down the engine brake. You can, of course, get a 6x4. Well, it doesn't change how savage the engine brake is, but it does double the number of braked axles, and that in turn can make it easier to control. Say can because if you manage to lock up both rear axles, which, ask me how I know this, is completely possible. I want to get some motion lotion. Got a third of a tank. What's my capacity? 90 gallons. Nah, I'll be fine. How far is it? 200. It's not even 200 miles. Good grief. I don't need motion lotion. Okay, let's get back here. 3.5 hour drive, but I should be good. I think I'm going to get on the power. Again, I'm going to use cruise control here. Cruise control has another important benefit. I say important. It's another feature. Not always a benefit. But your engine shift point will be the lowest it can possibly be. So it tosses out the adaptive functionality out the window. In fact, let's just open it, toss it out. By the way, it's virtual, so it's not littering. If you do drive in the US and you litter, there's a special place reserved for you in a not very nice place. It's one of the most repulsive things I can think of, especially if it's a cigarette. If you want to smoke, that's on you, but deal with your nasty little cigarette butts afterwards. Don't let everyone else deal with it. There's a good chap. Wow, I'm on one today, aren't I? How much coffee have I had? Well, Western Star, get out of my way. Oops. It's a Cascader after all that. And I'm speeding. Speed limits. Okay, tell you what, let's just change the speed limits whilst he's talking and he won't notice, and then we'll give him a fine. At least I'm not getting deported without due process. That would be a terrible thing to happen, wouldn't it? I'll let that sink in for a moment.
Go straight. Keep right. And then turn right.
Okay, that's probably sunk in enough. Yes. So, 400 horsepower, 1450 foot-pounds of torque. Transmission today is a 10-speed, and this is an Eaton integrated 10-speed. It's the overdrive version, so it's got a bit of a short overdrive. It's or a closer overdrive, I suppose you might say, and that does make a difference to how things perform. So first of all, there's a smaller step between 9th and 10th, so it feels almost like a close ratio gearbox, and that's useful. Excuse me. The gap between the rest of the ratios is completely usable, so there's no issue there. But it's not exactly unusable in the standard 10-speed ultra shift. We're using this today with a 325 final drive, and so it's about the same overall gearing as a 13-speed, if I remember correctly. I think you're doing about 1200 RPM at 55, and it's about 1400 RPM at 65, and so that's The engine could do a little fewer revs at 65 and still be okay, and it could do a few little revs at 55 and still be okay. But I really wanted to design this truck, or build out this truck to be, it'll do anything you can throw at it. Caveat being of, given it's a 6x2 with 400 horsepower. Heavy hauling in the wet is not really what this thing's designed for. Right, it's a bit of a mess if you try and do that in the wet. You have a spinny rear, or middle axle I should say, when you try and accelerate, try and brake, and you have a locking rear axle, especially if you have a super heavy cargo. I say super heavy, anything over about 90,000 pounds, it'll do it, but it might not do it. Come to a hill and you'll get stuck. You don't have the torque to move off in a high enough gear to avoid the wheel spin. That's just not fun. But as you see right now, we're hunkering along very nicely at 65, 1400 revs, 65 miles an hour, and my fuel consumption is going to be reasonable for what we're doing here. I would be looking at getting maybe 5.5 to 6 to the gallon from a trip like this, subject to how the terrain is. And I think for a 15 litre with this kind of cargo, yeah, that's reasonable. And the constant speed limit changes. Come on, guys. Well, it's okay. It's fine. So yeah, I went for a specification that didn't exactly match what I would see on truck paper or other used truck websites. Get off the side of the road, David. But gives me what felt like a sensible blend of efficiency, short enough gearing for any gradients I might come across without having to drop to the bottom 5. That's never fun. With reasonable cruising, and given this truck is designed for cruising at 65 and not really any quicker, 1400 revs at 65 miles an hour seems completely usable, and this particular engine is producing close to 400 horsepower at that sort of speed, so you in theory are getting the best of what you need from it. Go ahead and merge right. We'll take, guess it's the 80 west. Yes, it is. Right, let's kill the cruise control, because it's going to be another one of these scary gradient things. Yep. Does it give me a recommended speed? Nope. It just says I could fall off the road. What's it like driving a Swift truck? Ah, it's fine. It's just a paint job. He's around here. So it's dropped down a couple of gears, and it wants to put the engine speed back up to where it produces lots of power. And some of that, as you just seen, is it's only a 10 speed. And so you've gone from sort of 1450 to 1100 revs. And if this had an MX13, it might be able to use slightly fewer revs. In fact, it will be able to use slightly fewer revs. But I don't think it's really that big a compromise. Let's get back up to 65. So it would be an interesting comparison to run this this engine versus the MX13, the 405 version, because they both have similar power. Yes, on paper the MX13 does have 5 more horsepower, and would you really notice it? No, I don't think so. They both have the same torque, but where you might notice it, what are you doing, cable guy? I'm going to just undertake you. Numpty. Where you might notice it is peak torque. So our peak torque is produced at about 1000 RPM. The MX13 is produced about 900 RPM, so it's a little lower in the power range. The MX13 has quite a bit less than the middle to upper end of the rev range. It just feels a bit gutless, but it's really designed to keep the engine revs that much lower. It's a smaller engine, so it'll have a slightly weaker engine brake, things being equal, especially since we have Captain Aggression here, dropping a couple of gears when you plumb on the engine brake. So for hilly terrain, that engine brake can be very, very useful, but would it outweigh the fuel consumption benefit? Which typically Well, it's reflected in the game. You do tend to use a little bit less diesel with a 13 litre versus a 15 litre. And that half a mile to 1 mile per gallon, that does make a difference in the real world. In this simulation with the stock fuel prices and how much you get from each job, it's not going to make a difference. You can burn so much fuel that you still make money. And if you want to make the game a little more challenging, you can tweak that. You can have your fuel cost quite a bit more so that the mileage does make a bigger difference. That might be an interesting video to make as well now I think about it. But not today. Well, my mileage is, my overall for this tank is now 5.1, so it's gone up a little bit. And we've covered 1,200 miles, so it's not bad. At average 41 miles an hour. Surprised. Seems that a lot of time I was just crawling along in the city, but there we go. 64 gallons remaining, 22% tank capacity. It's great that it tells me these things. I just need to know about just under a quarter. That works for me. My temperatures is my pressure and whatnot. So 40 minutes left on this trip. Yeah, and Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas. I am really enjoying exploring parts of the US and just hanging back. It's hanging out, hanging back, whatever the correct terminology is. Correct is just depending on your perspective. Another speed limit change. Let's use Captain Savage engine brake. Here we go. Yep. Wonder if there's another one. So let's kill the power because there might be another speed change just coming up. I'm gonna drop the speed anyway. Yeah, there was, but we're already on it. So. See, I reckon I could fit in that gap here, but I'm not going to. We'll take another look at the truck from the outside. So, a diamond driver. Is that the same as a diamond geezer? Probably not. Bit of hitching going on in my game as well. I know why that is. I haven't given this machine a reboot for a couple of weeks, and it get me way, Harvey. It does make a difference. Let's go ahead and keep going. Yeah, we're using standard wheels today. I often use steel wheels with a fleet, but decided I would just go ahead and use the standard. That's an alloy wheel, but I went with the painted option, and they're painted white. Zoo doesn't like a white wheel, and there are some engine packs that I've used. Jaspers, thank you, Zach, and Smarties are ones that you'll see those designs on my truck from time to time. But sometimes I just like going with a stock SCS option. Just depends. Just gonna hunker along here, gently bobbing along. For when you're not in a hurry, the fleet engines really do feel, I don't know, what's the term? Just relaxing. And there's nothing wrong with lobbing in a 600 horsepower ISX15, especially if you get the earlier version that does need a few revs to perform. You'll keep that thing on the boil from 1300 to 1700 revs, give or take. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it feels like you're having to rush around. I don't think I'm going to make this green light, but we'll try. I am. Look at that. Well, almost did. This one, of course, is red, but it's not. Yep, it's about to go green, so we'll get back on the power. So I like that. Happened there was my revs were fairly low, about 1,000 give or take. I got back on the power and it didn't change down. And that's something that a more powerful ISX15 would have done. It would have dropped down the gear. And yes, it would have picked up that much stronger, but you've lost that half second or however long it would have taken to have changed gear. So the perception of performance is you gotta wait for it. It's like, okay, can we go? Now we can go, as opposed to immediately picking up with the fleet version of the ISX15, and the MSX13's like that too. It it'll pull from 900 RPM with my engine, I should say. The SCS one is actually not that different, apart from the 500 version. So yeah, it'll pull from those low engine speeds where the engines that require a few more revs to perform just don't. They want to change down 1 or 2 gears. It was a big yawn from me. Sorry. Let's get back. I wanted to see how long's left on my trip. Oh, 7 minutes. Oh, there you go. Saw the map. I'm there. Okay. The last thing I wanted to say was I did mention this just actually still about a minute or so ago, and that is the hitching and how well the game performs. So a couple of months ago, I finally dropped a lot of my quality and detail setting or quality settings in the game. My graphics card's capable of running this game much higher resolution, so it seems, excuse me, much higher frame rate, but the CPU cannot provide. Whoa, what are you doing, David? Slow down. The CPU cannot provide enough data to let it do that. Unfortunately, cranking up the detail just makes, well, does it make it worse? Yes, it does. The point where it needs even more data from the CPU, and so it just doesn't run at all well. So I compromise. To my left here. Okay. This may not be a fun drop off. It's only 40 experience points, so how hard can it be, right? Yeah, we'll see. Past this lift truck. It should right be next to it, I think. Yes, it is. Okay. A little hard to see. I've not got a massive amount of space, but yeah, I've got enough. It'll be fine. I'll turn off my lights just because. We'll actually start to turn now. Oh, this is a little tougher than I thought. Might have been easier if I'd maybe turned around, gone around the back of the unit and just turned around, but too late now. What I'm gonna do a little closer to this bucket, like so, and give it full left-hand lock. So I try and get underneath the trailer, turn it around the corner, but I don't want to hit that fence opposite. So straighten up here. Okay, I think maybe should have gone a little. Oh, I couldn't go much further forward, could I? So I'm going to start turning now, or I'm going to hit the fence one. Yeah, this is harder than I thought it would be. Oh well. That's not impossible. Let's see. I really don't want. See, now's the point where I need a bit more. Well, a few meters ago I needed a bit more space, but we'll give this full lock. I can recover it, but I don't have that much room to maneuver with. I am using the transmission in automated mode today. This is an automated box, and so I wasn't going to try and shift my own gears. Okay, I can mostly do, yeah. Not to be too critical of myself, I think there was a better way of doing it, but I don't think I knew how to. Because if everyone's watching, at least they can see how many more shunts, backwards and forwards this is going to take me. Those super singles are, I think they're at 445, it says, 445.50. So they sound quite a low profile, but they're the width of a typical European small car. I mean, those big black tyre marks it will leave nearly as dramatic as Vice President's eyeliner. Nearly. Go ahead and turn in there. Alright, let's see if we can do this in one. No, I can't, but Oh. Okay, well, in the spirit of America in 2025, that's good enough. That'll do me. So let's go ahead and shut it down, and let's disconnect and see what we did. So I'm going to plumb for 5.5 miles per gallon on that trip. We didn't really cruise for that long, and I wasn't particularly trying on being super efficient. I was yabbering away at you lot. Alright, 263 miles. Whoa, 40 gallons. 39.4. That's close enough. That's actually about 6.5. Okay, I'm actually kind of impressed with that. I didn't think I would do anywhere near as good as that. Oh, I forgot. It's quite a light cargo. It's only £24,000. Okay, well that makes sense. Right, well I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something from it. And stick around, there'll be another video, probably about trucks next week. Thanks so much everyone, take care. Goodbye.